Hi everybody, this is Anna. I am the dragonfly behind Blue Dragonfly Handmade. Welcome to my channel. I just wanted to talk about a couple of things. You can watch me making buttermilk poppy seed soap while I'm talking, but I just wanted to talk about the difference between handmade soap and store-bought soap. For those of you who don't really know what the difference is. Soap makers, none of this news will be news to you. None of this information. But I also wanted to talk a little bit about lye use in soap, which you can see me doing right now, measuring out my sodium hydroxide. Um, I've heard a couple of things on just around on the internet, people that have said they don't use lye soap, or they think that handmade soap is lye soap. You cannot make soap without sodium hydroxide, which is lye. And you can see me on the video right now measuring out my lye and measuring out my water. Yeah, you can't make soap without lye. This is how soap is made. Uh, it's a chemical reaction that happens between the sodium hydroxide and the oils that make the soap. So without the sodium hydroxide, or lye, you can't make soap. You just have oil. There's a chemical reaction called saponification that happens, and that is how the oils become soap. Um, so, at the end of the process, about 24 hours later, there's no lye left in the soap. It has been consumed in the chemical process, in the chemical reaction. So the end result, there is no lye in the soap if the soap is made properly. So there's that. But yeah, so that's what I'm doing right now. But you're not just throwing a bunch of stuff together and calling it soap. It's it's a specific recipe, and you use a soap calculator to work all that out and see what amounts you need, and then you have to be, you got to stick to your measurements, and it's very precise. It's chemistry. Anyway, and this was my first time making the buttermilk poppy seed soap. So I made a bigger batch. I didn't do a small loaf mold, and you'll see further along down in the video, the reason I wanted to do the voiceover on this instead of just like put music to it is because there comes a point here down a little farther in where I kind of forgot that I was making a bigger batch. So all of my ingredients were not going to fit into my pitcher with the oils and stuff, so I had to transfer everything over to my big bucket, which will be off screen, but that you'll see that coming up. But anyway, so but yeah, this was my first time making the buttermilk poppy seed. Right here I'm just mixing my sodium hydroxide into the water. It gets really hot. The thing with the lye is this isn't something you want to mess around with or have kids jumping around, or you need to wear gloves. You need to understand lye safety. I'm wearing goggles. You can't see me off screen here, but I am wearing goggles and a mask because the fumes that come off of this stuff are pretty strong, and you don't want to breathe that stuff in. It's yeah, and if you get it on your skin, you're gonna get burned, like an acid burn, like a not fun burn. So yeah, this isn't something you mess around with. But like I said, at the finished product, this stuff is all used up. It's not in there, and you have soap. So anyway, but so the difference between handmade and store-bought. A lot of people don't really, for people that have never used handmade soap, or can't understand why it costs what it costs, because, it can be a little pricey. What do we got there? 227 degrees. That lye solution, 227 degrees. So that's the temperature of it. So we're going to need to let that cool cool down. But yeah, the difference between handmade and store-bought, I mean, they're two completely different things. The stuff you're getting at the store, oh, there's my oils. Those chunks on top there, that's all shea butter. All those chunks there, that's shea butter. And there's olive oil, coconut oil. What else we got in there? Castor oil. I think there might be some avocado oil in there. I'm not sure, but that's all my oils melted down. 126 looks like. So that's good. So we want everything to kind of cool down a little before we mix it. But yeah, the stuff from the store, they use detergents. There's detergents and other kind of I don't know, sudsing agents and chemicals and things. And there's stuff in the store-bought soap to make it lather, to make it smell a certain way, to make it last, longer. There's all kinds of stuff. It's mass-produced. It's big corporations. Um, and just because it says beauty bar or, or it has this in it or it has that in it, I mean, these are corporations trying to get your money. Handmade soap, it's made with only like skin stuff that's good for your skin. This isn't detergent. This isn't mass produced. There's time spent making these handmade products. There is a lot of thought that goes into the recipes. um, there's a lot of thought that goes into the additives. I just put in some kaolin clay and some buttermilk powder. Um, there's a lot of thought into and a lot of work. And these ingredients cost money. And the time it takes to do this and to do it right, that costs money. The essential oils, which actually this batch I used lavender and bergamot essential oils to scent this soap, and it turned out really good. Not too strong. Yeah, so right here I'm adding the lye to the bucket, and then it dawns on me, oh, not all gonna fit in that bucket, so we're gonna switch it all over to the big bucket. And so now that's off screen. So the bucket off screen has the batter and everything's mixed. The lye is mixed with the oils, and I think I've added the essential oils in there too. And I thought it would be pretty to do like an orange swirl type of thing. So I'm just going to add some mica here, some orange mica. The swirl actually did not turn out the way I wanted it to in the soap. So I think if I try to do a swirl in this one again, I'll use maybe a deeper color, a better color. But yeah, the orange just did not work. But that's what I'm doing here. So there's the poppy seeds. And those actually worked really well for a nice little scrubbiness to the bar. I like making soaps that have a scrubbiness to them. You get a little bit of an exfoliation on the skin. Nothing harsh, but and it's biodegradable. So anyway, yeah, there's the mold there too. That's the bigger. That's a slab mold, but it's not a very big slab mold. So yeah, here I'm just pouring off to get that orange incorporated in there. But yeah, I mean the differences between handmade and store-bought. I mean, handmade, you're buying from a small business, you're supporting small business, and you're getting a one-of-a-kind product. Every bar is different. The patterns are different. Sometimes the cut is different. But these are small batch, one-of-a-kind creations that are thoughtfully made. So it's work. The whole process is work. So that's what you're paying for. You're getting, shea butter. You're getting, other additives and things that are good for your skin. You're not getting detergent, mass-produced, detergent bars with a pretty label on it. That's not what you're getting for your money. So, and my bars are actually priced a little on the lower end. I mean, you can pay $8, $10, $12 for a handmade bar of soap, and they're worth it. So anyway, I mean, that's the difference between the store-bought and and the Handmade. I mean, Handmade just, once I learned how to make soap and started using, that's all I use now. I use everything I make. As soon as I cut it, I do a lather test on everything I make, and that's fun. So, but what you're not seeing off screen is I'm pouring that orange batter into the bucket so that I can end up with my swirl here when I pour it in the mold. So there's the mold, and we're going to be coming up with the bucket here in a second, and you'll see the orange actually look kind of pretty. See that orange kind of swirling in there. But yeah, like I said, uh, after it finished the next day when I pulled it out of here, you could hardly even see the orange. It just didn't show up. So we're gonna scrape that bucket out, get it all in there, and yeah, this soap turned out really good. I'm really happy with it. It lathered up beautifully, and you can actually see that at the end of the video. I'm gonna show you the lather test. It lathered up really good. It smells good, and it'll be available pretty soon on the website. But scrape everything out of there. All those ingredients, that's money. So we're gonna cover it. I'm actually gonna spray it first with some rubbing alcohol, 90% rubbing alcohol. That kind of helps with soda ash. And then we're going to cover it up and let it stay nice and warm. And then tomorrow, well, the next day in the video, that'll be like in a couple of seconds. But yeah, about 24 hours is about the cure time for the soap. It's about what it takes, and that's the saponification. The 24 hours is that whole time. That chemical reaction is happening between the lye and the oils, and it's that time is spent turning into soap. So here's the next day, and we're gonna get this out of the mold. Yeah, you can't it looks a little, that where it was supposed to be the orange swirls now look just like a really kind of pale yellow, which you don't even show up after I cut everything up. You can't see it, so I won't be doing the orange again. But anyway, yeah, it turned out really good. We're just gonna pull this out of here, and then I'm gonna end up having to, I don't have a slab cutter, so what I do when I make these big loaves or these big slabs is I have to cut it into loaves by hand, and then I use my little homemade loaf cutter sitting in the back there is how I cut the bars. I made that because cutting them freehand, I was struggling trying to get a uniform size bar. It'd be skinnier on top and fatter on the bottom and all kinds of craziness. So this way I can cut them to 1 inch thick and get a straight cut, straight down, so the bars are all one uniform size. So I'm just going to cut this into 2 loaves. Yeah, it turned out really good. The edges were nice and smooth, no crumbling. So I think I'm gonna keep this in my line, in my soap line on the website, because it did turn out really good. And those poppy seeds, we'll show you a close up here in a second. Those poppy seeds, I can't remember how much I put in there. I have the recipe written in my recipe book, so I think I'm gonna do another big batch of this one, probably this next week, and probably also another big batch of the oat milk and maybe the coconut milk as well. I do those, the milk batches I do in the big slab mold, because those turn out really, really good, and those are kind of popular soaps. So, but I'm just so OCD about getting these cut straight, getting the loaves straight. And then I think the end result I ended up with, the bars were about 5 ounces, good size 5-ounce bars. So they're going to be the same size as the other milk soaps, the oat milk and the coconut milk. So anyway, there's my 2 loaves. Let's get them pulled apart. And we'll look at the poppy seeds and the inside. Yeah, no orange swirl. I don't know where that went, but it's not in there. So there's the poppy seeds. Yep. Yeah, this one turned out good. So the lather test, we're gonna hit that here in a second. Yay, thumbs up. There's my little small one. So this is immediately after I cut them all into bars. And you can see pretty quickly lathered up really good, and the lather is it's really creamy and kind of thick. So yep, there's that. Turned out really good. All right, thanks for watching, everybody. Give me a subscribe.